where we're talking about the Uyghur genocide in northwest China. Now, Mr. Toti, can you explain to me why the Chinese government is doing this? Do we have an understanding at all?
Actually, a recent report published by a Foreign Affairs Committee in our Parliament, they put a very short summary. Basically, Chinese government decided that they needed the ancestral land of the Uyghurs, East Turkestan, for its expansionist policy and for natural resources, but they didn't want the rightful owner of this land. And for that reason, they decided to eliminate them or forcefully assimilate them into Chinese society by banning all of their national identity elements, just like language, history, scholars, and enforcing a harsh measure to prevent birth, separating out children from parents, and the displacement of reproductive aged man and the female to massive labor camps more than 4,000 kilometers away from their cultural sphere, and interning millions of them in a concentration camps. And so these are the measures intended to eliminate the Uyghurs within one generation span. And if you look at the internal Chinese documents, more than 80% of the IUDs sold out in China just used in East Turkestan for Uyghurs, and many Uyghur women already sterilized.
Mr. Alip, I want to ask you a question about something that was just mentioned about this forced labor. Are these products that are being made of forced labor, are these products that are available for sale in Canadian markets?
Oh, absolutely. There's no doubt in that. Canada has we've seen the government work towards putting in mechanisms to stop the flow of forced labor goods, but there have yet to be any seizures or any publicly announced results of those measures coming into effect. Whereas in the U.S., we've seen they've already seized, hair products, agricultural goods as well, and clothing, so cotton, a lot of cotton products too. We haven't seen that yet in Canada.
And how would people know that these products are coming from forced labor if they want to decide not to buy them?
Yeah, so you would have to do a little bit of research. There are sources available to show which companies have not taken the efforts to clean up their supply chains and make sure that they have certified suppliers and vendors working with them. But in general, there are companies like Huawei who have, supported significantly the Beijing's effort to do genocide, basically, on the Uyghurs. So there are companies like that can be avoided. Additionally, I would say that it's just as a general practice to avoid any companies that are doing business specifically in East Turkestan, so that have factories there. That's another tidbit to look into.
Okay. Now, Mr. Toti, can you comment on how the Chinese government has responded to these allegations and the decision by Canada's Parliament to declare this a genocide?
I would like to add one more sentence to what Zafar said. And the 90% cotton products made in China, all of them tainted with the Uyghur forced labor. And the 90% of the tomato products, just like ketchup, are tainted with the Uyghur forced labor. And 45% global supply of the polysilicon products made by Uyghur forced labor, which is used for solar panel. And our Canadian solar company has a manufacturing base just right at the heartland of East Turkestan. So these are the major areas we have to avoid. And for Chinese ambassador frequently making a comment, and a recent comment is the Uyghur genocide is the lie of the century, and the evidence coming out from the East Turkestan and their own document, the government internal documents, including the annual statistics in 2019. That is official government statistics, just like Census Canada.
So they're just straight up denying it.
Yeah, the Chinese government denying it, ambassador denying it, but their own statistics already acknowledged the Uyghur genocide, because the birth rate of Uyghurs dropped more than 35% in 2019 alone. And so why it is so sharp drop? without any outside influence, because the enforced IUD for all Uyghur women, and also they killed babies and they take out the baby from 9 months pregnant woman's womb. And those are the measures. And this is only the result of those harsh measures.
Horrible, horrible atrocities that are being reported. I want to thank you both so much for the advocacy work that you do. It is so valuable. And thank you for sharing your stories today on our show, and for coming on and talking to us.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.